YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back, and Carson Wentz has been traded to the Colts. The Colts actually did it. They made it happen here. This offseason's already wild. It's going to get even crazier. We have you covered for everything NFL related on our Twitter and right here on the channel. In this video, I'm going to break down this trade, the trade details. They get a little confusing, a little bit. Positives, negatives for both the Colts and the Eagles, and then grades for both the Colts and the Eagles. So we'll break it all down like we do for every single trade. More content than anybody, so please subscribe, smash that like button, turn notifications on. Yeah, here's the Twitter. Every time something's about to go down or goes down, we got you covered. The numbers, the Falcons are making moves that we predicted. Everything. I already was talking about a lot about the Wentz trade here, so you're going to want to follow our Twitter for sure. There'll be a link to this page in the comments, all my predicted cuts, possible trades, live cap space updates. So you're going to want to check that out. Keep that link handy. And this will also be in the comments. I made a post on Sided who won the Carson Wentz trade. You vote, and then you leave your debate, your reasoning, and you can make your way to leaderboard by getting likes and win Amazon gift cards. So pretty cool. Check it out. Anything that you need here, link in the description or and the comments there. But yeah, here's the trade. The Colts obviously get Carson Wentz, and we kind of expected this. We thought the Bears, but then a video earlier this week, I was predicting him to go to the Colts along with Zach Ertz. That didn't happen, but just, Wentz goes to the Colts as expected here. The Eagles get a 2021 third, and at first glance, a 2022 second round pick. So this news comes out. A lot of people are like, at least they didn't give up a first, or maybe we expected a first. They didn't give one up. But really, that second round pick in 2022 becomes a first. And you see my prediction at the bottom. I'm predicting it to become a first round pick. So that second turns into a first if Wentz plays 75% or more snaps this season, which we expect. If he gets hurt or he's completely terrible, that changes. And then that could mean a second round pick instead of a first. Or if he plays 70% snaps, plus they make the playoffs. So the Colts are, looking at last year, they didn't really get to where they were because of quarterback play, even though Rivers was impressive and getting better, actually, as the year went on. So it's possible that he could even fill out that category. So really, it's very likely first-round pick because they just trade a lot for him. Obviously, they like Wentz. Reich likes Wentz. They're going to insist on him, and almost at this point, you almost think they should. So therefore, unless he's injured, they're probably giving up a first-round pick. So the way I'm looking at it, the way I'm grading it, is a 2021 third-round pick plus a 2022 first-round pick. So some value there. It's some valuable stuff to any team, really, that they gave up. So, yeah, you see my prediction down there. So let's talk about the Eagles, some positives for the Eagles. I think they got great value, based on what he played, how he played this past year, and how Jalen Hurts played. Factor that in. I think they got pretty good value. It almost feels like past year's value. We'll talk about that in a little bit. They gained 2 picks for a backup, kind of a question mark. It's pretty simple. If they liked Wentz, if they were going to insist on him, and he was their guy, they wouldn't have really traded him unless it was ridiculous value, like way more, because that's how teams value their starting quarterback, more than what the value actually is. And they did get that here, but it's pretty simple. They wouldn't have traded him. So I view it as they gained 2 picks for their backup, which looks pretty damn good. They get a lot of dead cap this year. We'll talk about that in a second. But in 2022, they saved $22 million. 2023 they saved 25, and then 2024 they saved 26 million. So cleared a lot of money in the future, starting next year, not this season that we're already getting started on here with the off season in 2021. So a lot of money cleared for the future. So, you see the Rams did that basically with Goff, and they had to give up more. They had to give up more draft picks to do what the Eagles just did with Wentz, and they gained some draft picks there. So that's pretty wild to think about it that way. Some negatives for the Eagles. Really, the list isn't long. They only saved $852K this year, and that's $33.8 million dead cap. I think a lot of people are confused on how dead cap works. Basically, the way I think of it and how you should is dead cap is what you can't save. That money's still coming out of their pockets, but in terms of the cap space, that's the number that you can't save. So you look at their cap hit and you look at their dead cap. You're removing the cap hit, but then you also got to factor in the dead cap. So they actually save money It's only $852K, but I see some people ripping the Eagles for this trade because of the dead cap, and you definitely should rip them. You see the second part, the contract was terrible. They've given out some terrible contracts. I've talked about that. People told me no in the past, but when they've happened, I've told you they've given out some terrible, terrible contracts. They were in the business of paying guys for being part of the Super Bowl team. It's supposed to be a business, not whatever the hell they were doing. So, yeah, that part was terrible. That's kind of in the past now, and that's the reason they can't save more money, but they save a lot of money. You see the last slide we just showed, the positives, in the future. But some people are kind of taking it as they lose $33.8 million in cap this year. That's not true. They actually cleared $852K, which isn't enough really for a quarterback like that. But yeah, the contract part, absolutely terrible. More than just the Wentz contract, but that's kind of doesn't have really anything to do with what's happened today, what they've done today, what they've gained. So kind of keep that in mind here. The Colts, some positives. I think it's a good fit, with Reich. I think you can fit that system. That system's, makes the quarterback's job a lot easier. See where they made it to. Where they made it last year is because of coaching for the most part. They've had some good players. Defense was solid. But it's a good fit. It's a better situation than Philly, I think. There's actually a statistic that the Eagles actually had a better pass block win rate than the Colts last year, which is pretty wild. That kind of shows how many, that the sacks and the QB hits were on Wentz for the most part. But I still think the Colts offensive line, if the Eagles offensive line is fully healthy, then it's right there with them. But I still like the Colts offensive line better. Weapons better, but it's somewhere where the Colts actually got to improve, but it's a better situation with, gathering everything, put it together. Better than most QB options, realistic QB options for the Colts. Kind of run down the list. What were their options? They weren't getting Deshaun Watson. I don't think anybody's getting Deshaun Watson, but they weren't getting Deshaun Watson. They missed on Stafford, how far in they were on that, we don't know. Darnold, you wouldn't have to give up this much, but Darnold would have made you a much worse team than you were last year. Let's be honest here. Some people were really on, a lot of Colts fans really wanted Darnold, so I'm assuming those people are mad about this deal because they gave up a lot and they wanted Darnold. I was confused about how bad they wanted Darnold, but I would assume those fans are, unless they change their mind all of a sudden, I would assume that they're not happy about this deal. But yeah, I would have liked Winston. Winston's got some similar problems in Wentz, but would have been, you don't have to trade, a lot cheaper, but people get the feeling he's going back to the Saints. So really, Carson Wentz might have been one of the better options. I guess not saying a whole lot, but I guess probably one of the better options here. And they're trying to win now. Set at QB, it's kind of a good thing and a question mark because are they really set at QB? Some question marks for Carson Wentz, but they're not scrambling for a quarterback. Rivers was essentially a rental because he's about to retire. They're not, not going to go into another year with a rental or a maybe. It's a little bit of a question mark still, but at least they can kind of they can kind of relax a little bit. They don't have to scramble around. So I guess being able to relax for now, is a good thing. They still have some cap space, probably around, we don't have the set number yet, probably around $50 million, which he's a pretty big hit. We'll talk about that. They sound pretty confident, fixing Wentz, I guess putting this in the positives, kind of taking their word for it, but they feel pretty confident that they can fix him. They can, again, they're going to make his job easier in this system. They're not actually locked into 2024, which I don't know how much of a positive that is. I guess, yeah, you see the contract runs with big cap hits through 2024. What if he's bad? Yikes. And it's still yikes either way. But yeah, they're not really, they could get out. They would save a little bit of money after 2023, but if they cut him for 2024, they save a lot of money. But at the same time, if you're cutting him, the trade obviously didn't go well because he isn't going well. So I don't know how much of a positive that actually is. Negatives, there are some pretty big negatives. Major risk trade, everyone knows that with the cap hit through 2024, some big time cap hits. His play, especially recently, not so good. He played like one of the worst quarterbacks in football last year. Let's not try to get around that. Let's not try to cover that up. That's how it was. I'm not saying he will play like that this year. We don't really know. It had some, post-injury wasn't too good. Has had some injuries. I'm not really thinking he's going to get hurt or anything like that. But, there are multiple concerns and there are risks in there. They valued him kind of near pre-injury, which is interesting. You don't see that really ever. A lot of people out there value him like more towards 2017 rather than 2020. That really doesn't make any sense, but maybe you can get some of that back out of it. You can't expect all of it. Giving up a first round pick is best case, which sounds pretty crazy. That's the weird part of this trade, because right when the trade came out, a lot of people were like, okay, at least we, or at least they didn't give up a first round pick. And then all of a sudden it became, once you got the details, it became, oh, wow, we want to give up the first round pick, or they want to, in a way, because if they don't give up the first round pick, second round pick, hey, you don't have to give up the first round pick, but that means he's not playing, and that's either because of injury or because he's playing poorly. So that means the trade in general is pretty damn terrible. So really, they want to give up the first round pick. So really, you want it to be a first and a third. And people were kind of, I've seen people and fans, saying, we shouldn't be giving up that much because we're taking in this contract, or they shouldn't, So, yeah, it's weird. That's kind of a weird thing where they want to give up a first round pick. It's kind of crazy. They still need to upgrade left tackle and receivers for Wentz, because we know, based off last year, anybody that was making excuses, which really excuses weren't really valid because a lot was on him. He was just playing poorly, plain and simple. But the excuses made were offensive line, even though the Eagles had a better pass block win rate than the Colts. Not that I think they're better. And receivers, Colts got a good offensive line, but they don't have Costanzo anymore. They need a left tackle. Now, will that be draft? Could it be a project guy that could struggle right away? They may need to get that in free agency, a better pass protector. The rest of the guys will handle the run blocking easy. They shouldn't value the run block of the left tackle a whole bunch. They might. In receivers, I like the way Pittman looked last year, but you need multiple legit number ones, and it was kind of on Pittman to win that playoff game last year. You need to get better. T.Y.'s a free agent. Got some free agents in there. They need to get better at receiver, plain and simple. And they have some free agents, and they have other holes to fill, but mainly for Wentz, kind of for this to work, they do need to get better at those positions. They have cap space. They have less of it now because of Wentz. See the cap hits 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. You can read major cap hits there. So there are some negatives here. And then to the grades, I gave the Eagles an A+. I am not factoring in the contract they gave the Wentz, because that was before. That's something I bashed Roseman on in the past, and maybe he learned his lesson now. If I was grading based off those things, it would be terrible grade. But that's not what we're doing. We're grading the trade here today. They got a second and a third round pick, and what I think, very confident about it, will be a first round pick. So a first and a third round pick for a guy, the guy that's been playing poorly, a guy that you weren't attached to, a guy that was outplayed by a rookie that was kind of raw, a guy that you probably viewed as your backup if you're willing to trade him for this. You got those two picks for that. So that they played pretty good mind games with people too. They kind of, they brought in a Colts tree. They're kind of building up like maybe they were in on Wentz still. But they kind of fooled people with that, and they got more value-wise because, it feels like now they were going to start hurt. So they got those picks for essentially their backup. So, I don't see how you can't grade them highly. You can grade. I think it's a separate grade if you want to talk about what they've done in the past. Yes, they couldn't save a whole lot of money because of dead cap this year. People out there get confused about dead cap. They aren't subtracting that $33.8 million in dead cap from their cap space this year. That is not how it works. They aren't subtracting. They save money. They didn't save a lot, not even $1 million, but they aren't losing money by trading them. They're actually saving money now and in the future. Ideal, it would be more. It'd be ideal if you didn't give that bad of a contract out, but we're not grading the past. So I don't really see how you can grade it anything worse than an A. I really don't. The people that would grade it worse than that, you would have to be thinking Wentz is worth multiple first-round picks. I don't know what world you're living in if that's the case. So I don't know. I don't know if this is too really debatable. In the Colts, and I'm not grading this based on my prediction on how Wentz will be. That's not what this video is. We'll get in our season predictions that we are very accurate on once we get there. But I gave it a C+. And again, Wentz in this system could be solid. Frank Reich, hell of a coach. This team, they outgained the Bills in the playoffs because their coaching staff, because their offensive line, So I love this staff. They're going to make the job easier for Wentz. They're going to make him look better. How much better? That's the question. We can't just go back and say he's going to be 2017 Wentz. No, you can't really do that, So what Wentz are we going to get? We still have to remember that he took sacks. Sacks were his fault, not the offensive line's fault. So can they fix that? So some question marks here. Pretty big cap hit along the way. So that's kind of a negative thing here. C+ is kind of, it's not the best grade. It's not a terrible grade. I almost want to give it a worse grade because the amount of cap hit and, what you're trading that much value based on what exactly. But they didn't really have too many options. Like I said, they were going to have to be scrambling for a quarterback. Do we really want that? Was he the best option out of, their options not being the best, I guess. So it's not saying much. So, I kind of bumped them up because of that. Again, he can play solid. I don't like that it's weird that they kind of hope to give up a first-round pick, and that's overvaluing him for sure. I don't really like that setup, that, the conditions on the trade. I really don't like it. I'm assuming the fans don't like it that they were worried about giving up a first, because I think originally it was like, oh, we don't have to give up a first. I'm like, oh, wait, we want to. It's weird. I don't really like that. I think trying to think what else, why I grade it like this. It just, overall it's a lot of risk. You're gambling. They still have a lot of cap space, but yeah, my ideal, I'm starting my offseason rebuilds for every team. That's going to start, probably today, actually, if you're listening to this on the 18th. And that was what I would do. My plan for the Colts was to go into the free agency with your cap space and fill all those holes minus quarterback, because they need pass rushers. Those guys are free agents. They could get better there anyways. They need corners. They need a left tackle. We talked about that big need at left tackle. They need, I think, multiple receivers, multiple legit receivers. So they actually have more needs than first glance. They really do. This team, the reason they fell to the Bills in the playoffs was because the execution by the players down the stretch. The coaching staff put them in position, the offensive line put them in position. They couldn't really execute in the big moments in the red zone. So they need to get better executors out there for sure. So they were able to do that with that load of cap space that they had. And I was going to go in the draft with your only need being quarterback, trade up in the draft, get that quarterback that can make that instant impact, also part of the future. Got to get a 2-for-1 there. Now they still have cap space, but will they be able to focus on all those needs in free agency? They're going to have to use free agency in the draft and kind of rely on some guys right away. So, it's kind of the question. As you look at the Colts last year, pretty good team. Will they be better, the same, worse? Things need to happen. Things need to go their way for them to be better too. So I look at it that way as well. But again, I'm not really predicting how Wentz will be here with these grades, with this video. But it is major, major risk, and I think they overvalued him overall. But it was kind of the best, good fit, maybe best of the options. Not that the options were great. So therefore, the C+. But looking forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments and on Twitter. Constantly talking on Twitter. It's an absolute must follow. And then you can click that link in the comments to bring you to the Decided app where you vote who won this trade and give your opinion. Maybe you have a different opinion than me. You have a strong debate, and you can win an Amazon gift card just by giving that. So check that out. We have all the trades, breaking down all the trades, rumors, grades, whatever, free agency signings. We grade every single free agency signing as well, so can't wait for that. Full NFL draft coverage. Like I said, I'm starting my offseason rebuilds team by team. Those are going to be a lot of fun. So please subscribe, smash that like button, turn notifications on. All that would be much appreciated. Thanks for watching this video. Goodbye.